Okay, so quick review of expository writing. First of all, most important, we know that expository writing is writing to explain. For example, if the prompt says, "Who is your hero?" explain why he or she is your hero. You would write an essay telling the reader exactly who you think your hero is and all the reasons why you believe that they are your hero. Now, we also know that when we do expository writing, we often use a flea map to help us organize and plan our writing. When we use that flea map, we start with an opinion statement or a central idea. That's where we would tell our reader who our hero is in an engaging and interesting way. Then we would have our reasons to explain why that person is our hero. In this example, there are 3 reasons to explain why. Remember, we don't always have to have 3. We could have 2 or we could have 4. And then we have a closing idea that wraps up everything that we're saying and that leaves our reader with something interesting to think about our hero. What we're going to talk about today, though, is specifically the reasons to explain why. Your reasons to explain why should have 2 very important characteristics. Okay? So my reasons to explain why, whatever that topic is, so in this case, my mom is my hero, should be, number 1, global in nature. That means that they should be big, huge ideas that everybody can understand no matter what, even if they don't know very much about my topic. And then they should be distinctly different from each other. So this reason over here, my first reason, should be different from my second reason. And my third reason should be different. They can't all be the same thing with different examples. So let's talk more about that. Remember, global in nature, distinctly different from each other. Here are some examples of global in nature, big ideas. A good example is, Michael Jordan is athletic. Now, there are lots of things I can say to give examples of how he is athletic, but my big idea that everyone can understand is he's athletic. A bad example, an example that's not global in nature, would be Michael Jordan can slam dunk a basketball. It's too specific. Here's another good example. Mother Teresa is generous. I can give lots of examples of how Mother Teresa is generous, but my big idea, my big reason to explain why is she's generous. A bad example is, or a poor example, Mother Teresa gives money to the poor. It's not a big idea. There's not very much I can say to elaborate on that. Instead, if I wanted, I could say Mother Teresa is generous. For example, she gives money to the poor. So this would be an example that would go under the boxes on my flea map. My last good example is the movie is entertaining. Any movie, doesn't matter if I know what the movie is, but I can understand this big idea. And I can also give lots of details to support how the movie is entertaining. A poor example would be the characters in the movie crack a lot of jokes. Remember, it's too specific. So these over here are all very specific ideas and examples, and these are bigger, broader ideas. Do you remember what the second characteristic was that reasons to explain why should have? I hope you do. I hope you remember that it's that they should be distinctly different from each other. So they should not be the same reason repeated in different words. Okay, so for example, my mother is talented and supportive. Those are 2 different things. I could have a mother that is very, very talented. She's a great piano player maybe, but she's not very supportive of me. Or I could have a mother that's very supportive of me, but she doesn't have many talents. They're different things. A poor example would be, my mother is helpful and supportive. Think about why that would be a poor example. Did you think about because helpful and supportive mean the same thing? I bet you did. Another good example is Mother Teresa is generous and self-sacrificing. A poor example is she is generous and she donates what she has to the poor. This is a poor example because donating what you have to the poor is an example of being generous. So it's not another reason to explain why, it's actually an example to explain how she is generous. So to review, your reasons to explain why should be global in nature, big ideas that everybody can understand, and they should be totally different from each other. Each reason should be a new reason to explain why and not a repetition. Thank you for listening, and I can't wait to read your next expository piece.